Today on Homeworthy, we're visiting the most charming, historic brownstones in Brooklyn, New York. We'll take you inside 3 stunning brownstone restorations, showcasing how homeowners have preserved the original facades while infusing each space with their own unique style. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hey, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Barry.
And we're known as the Brownstone Boys.
Welcome to our brownstone in Brooklyn, New York.
Let's take a look inside. So this house was built in 1890s, we think late 1890s. It is a traditional brownstone.
Well, I'm from New Orleans originally.
And I'm from Las Vegas.
So we're both from, pretty much the only 2 cities where you can walk down the street with a cocktail in your hand.
We met online and we met a year before we bought this house together, which was a risk, and my parents definitely thought it was crazy.
Was it even a year? It may have been under a year.
Actually, I think you're right. Yeah, but it was a risk and it's working out for us. The second date, we took a bike ride throughout Brooklyn and we discovered we both shared a mutual passion about brownstone architecture. There was a lot of work done to this place when we got it. It was a 5-bedroom and we converted it into a space that would work for our needs. So we turned it into a 3-bedroom with an office.
They also had bedrooms kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there was a bed, like they really went all out with like making sure there was as many bedrooms. So the kitchen was like kind of jammed into the middle right here. And there's a bedroom in the back, and that shouldn't be there. So we sort of made this the living and dining floor, and all the bedrooms are upstairs.
We are project managers for historic home renovations. So we particularly do the brownstones. This all started through our own renovation, and we blogged a bit about our entire experience of renovation. And it became quite popular in the Brooklyn community. So we kind of had a conversation together, and we said, do we want to do this professionally? And sure enough, it was something that we were both very passionate about. So we took the leap of faith and we're making it work.
So this is the parlor floor of our brownstones, the main living area. And this is where we spend a lot of our time. This is where we, eat, work. This is where we bring clients to talk about tile samples.
We're TV people, so we had, we just went back and forth if we should put our living in the middle or in the front of the space. Brownstones are very long and narrow, so ultimately we decided that the TV was important for us. So we decided to do living in the middle and then put our dining up in the front. But we really love it because you have the natural light in the front, and then this kind of gives us a really nice space between the kitchen and the dining.
So you totally gutted the place.
Pretty much. I mean, we restored.
Barry says we didn't gut it, but we gutted the place.
It was a lot of work, but we like to say we restored a lot of stuff. I love the historical aspects in here, so the plaster moldings, I just think they're really special.
Yeah, I'm laughing because sometimes I look over on the couch at Barry and I'm like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And he's just like smiling and gazing up into the plaster molding. I'm like, oh, he's admiring the moldings again.
I mean, it's kind of amazing just to be like hanging out on your couch and having this around you.
It's cute.
Yeah. One of the things that we really wanted to do that was important to us was obviously to restore the original features that were in the house. But unfortunately, our house had a lot of original features removed before we bought it. And one of the things that were removed were every single fireplace. There probably originally was at least 4 fireplaces, and every single one of them were gone. So we wanted to add one back in. So we got this marble fireplace mantle. We love that we were able to contribute something back into the house after it was removed.
And there's so many different salvage yards around New York that have these incredible marble fireplaces. And most of the time people don't know they're marble because they're covered in layers and layers of paint.
Yeah.
And it's something so easy and something that anyone can do is just remove all the paint from the marble fireplaces. So this blue bad boy has been with me for a very long time. And when I first moved to New York, I found this blank canvas on the streets of Prospect Heights, and I picked it up because I knew one day I was going to make an art project, and I sure did. This, believe it or not, folks, is from egg crates, and I just cut them to different sizes, and I glued them on here in a pattern, and then I added some hot glue to it. I think it's the perfect piece for the space.
So this light fixture is one of our favorite pieces that we have. It's actually made from reclaimed wood from water towers on the top of buildings in Brooklyn. It's from a company called Stickball.
What's been the most fulfilling about this particular project?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say the wood stripping. Our original goal with all the woodwork in here was stripping the wood, which took us forever, but we were just gonna repaint it just so you get a nice clean layer of paint. But we saw all the original wood and it was just so beautiful in the space that we decided to keep it natural and just add a nice tung oil to keep it as matte as possible. So let's head inside the kitchen.
So this is where we are with all of our friends all the time. This is where everyone just comes right here, lines up. We have, you know, food out and drinks.
Cheeses.
Yeah, and
we
it
like
really
to do it up.
We did have to take a wall down here. There was a bathroom here. There was a wall. There was a little hallway. There was a closet over here. So there were lots of walls that came down to make this possible. We also had to put up a beam, but we love it. It was worth the effort to get this kind of like open feel for the space. So our stairs are original to the house and they're very squeaky. We actually call them our alarm system because if anyone tries to creep up them at night, we will know.
They're not getting past this. This is our bedroom, and one of the biggest challenges in New York City is closet space. And we knew we weren't going to get our dream walk-in closet, but we built a his and his. And it's really nice mix of shelves and clothes racks, so it hangs all of our shirts.
Jordan's side is the cleaner side.
That is my side, the cleaner one.
And they're equal in size.
They're identical, actually. They're totally identical. We did the exact same thing, so no one can claim someone has more closet space.
How would you describe sort of your overall design style?
That's a really good question. And I mean, I think our design style differs in a lot of ways. Like Jordan likes a lot of really colorful things. I like a lot of neutral colors and grays. I want to paint everything gray. All tiles should be
Barry
gray.
would only have two colors if it were allowed. He would have a charcoal gray and an off-white, and those would be the colors that you would see throughout the entire home.
Like your bed.
Like our bed.
Or I would have painted this wall charcoal gray.
I love
Jordan.
a pop of color. You'll notice a lot of pinks throughout the home and a bright blue, for example, and that's all my design. But together, I would say the thing that we both love, anything mid-century modern, 100% sign us up for. So one thing that we had in our home when we moved here was an IKEA tabletop hanging out in our basement, and it stuck with us throughout the entire renovation. And after we moved in, we had kind of space between our bump out here, and Barry and I decided that we were gonna make a DIY shelf system. So we took the tabletop, we cut it different sizes, we stained the wood, and then we inserted them right here in the left of the nook, and now we have this beautiful open shelves on the side of my bed. So let's go in the bedroom that almost gave Barry a heart attack, and you'll know why real fast, because of all this color.
There's so much color in here, but it looks amazing. One of the first things that you might notice is that there isn't a window in this room. The skylight makes it the brightest room in the house, which is great, but it still needed a view. And so we put the view on the wall.
Yeah, and I used to work at an ice cream company helping them build out the scoop shops, and I worked with this amazing artist there. Her name's Lauren Kalin, and she did all of the murals for all the ice cream shops, and I was just so fascinated with all of her artwork. So I asked her, I was like, Lauren, would you mind doing a piece of art on our walls here in the home? And we left. 3 hours later, we came back and we told her that we wanted something vintage, something botanical. We came back to this masterpiece, and she just really took our vision, brought it to life, and it really is just the brightest and most joyous thing in our house, and we love it.
So this was, and it still is, an IKEA dresser, and it was like your very average, plain, inexpensive dresser that you get from IKEA. And what we did, we hacked it and we made it into something a little more interesting. So we cut out these middle panels here, and we put in this molding, and we put in this rattan webbing. painted it this kind of like light blue color and put this new hardware on, so it kind of gave it a little bit of a new life.
So there were two things in our basement when we moved in, and that was the IKEA tabletop from the shelves in our bedroom and this orange chair. I think this chair is just perfect in the garden room, as we like to call it. So welcome to our favorite room in the home, the bathroom. This is our guest bathroom.
And you know, one of the things that I think people notice first is this vintage door that we got. This is just really fun. We saw it, we were in a restaurant, I think, and we saw something similar to this, and we were like, that's what we want for our guest bathroom.
But we had difficulty finding it. So we actually
had to make it.
Yeah, so we had to make it. But we found this old school door on eBay, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And what we did is we ordered it, we received it, and then we cut it out and we added the molding, and then we took the measurements for the glass, and we found an amazing company that does vintage wired chicken glass. And they sent it to us. We put it in, it looked perfect, except it needed some color. So we added this bright green, and then we wanted to give it all the character. So we added the WC stencil. It stands for water closet.
This bathroom is all new. It was actually a little tiny bedroom that you couldn't even fit a bed in. And because it was a new bathroom that we were building in the house, we wanted to give it sort of the look like it's been here for a while. A little bit of old school New York look. So very classic, like hex floret on the floor that you see all over New York and Brooklyn. Classic subway tile on the walls. You have a utility sink. Clawfoot tub. This clawfoot tub is actually a new tub. It is cast iron, but the new ones are so much lighter than the old ones that we went with the new ones, like 300 pounds instead of like 1,000.
Yeah. And one of our favorite pieces we still hang on the wall here is a newspaper clipping from a renovation project that we were working on, and we found this newspaper underneath the clawfoot tub, and this newspaper dates back to 1906. Pretty amazing.
It's just amazing to kind of think about what has happened, when we're sitting here watching our frame TV and watching Netflix, but what have other families done over the century to, in this house over the years?
Hi, I'm Christina, and welcome to our Brooklyn townhouse. This is Moji, and this is Mia. Come on in. Hi, I'm Christina Nielsen. I'm an interior designer, and this is my home in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. What drew me to it was just the attention to detail and the restoration of a pre-war townhouse, which is so hard to find in New York, especially a rental unit, and even more so, a rental unit that isn't outdated, and it's really beautifully updated in a way that it's elegant and doesn't try and fight with the originality of the space. I designed this space based on inspiration from my background, which is kind of a mixture of different cultures and backgrounds. My father's South African and lives in England full-time, so I have spent a lot of time in England growing up and now in my adult life. And the way that the English design mixed with South African textiles really informed my design aesthetic. This is a space that is used the most out of any other room in this apartment, specifically because of this super comfortable estate sale find George Smith sofa, which honestly, it was falling apart when I found it, but I loved the wooden turned legs and I saw the potential. So I reupholstered this in a very wild mustard velvet, which was definitely a topic of contention in this household for a little bit. My husband was very wary of the mustard, but it's now our favorite piece because it kind of just sets the tone for the whole rest of the space. It also ties in this amazing, another estate sale find, this wingback armchair, which I also reupholstered, and it's in this amazing old school, one of Robert Kimes' oldest prints. And I love that it has, like a little bit of that mustard texture to pick up the mustard sofa. And then if you look closely, I self-felted it with a contrasting fabric. So it's like a tweed, a multicolored tweed. And another piece that I love, and because it's a rental apartment, I really wanted to make sure all of my pieces are multi-purpose. I could take them into the next home when they don't scream dining room, office, dresser. So specifically, I really didn't want a media console because I personally really don't like them. I don't like the look of them, and I thought this was a great way to disguise all of the media equipment, but it also is a great storage space for all of my entertainment and party supplies. I can show you a little bit of my fun pieces that I store in here. Elizabeth Lake, I love all of her work. She does really beautiful hand embroidered coaster pieces. These are really fun for Christmas, and each of them are super different. So these are definitely used in the winter months. And I also have these plates, which I absolutely love. They're the Paravicini plates, and each of these in a set is completely different style, which also is very me because I don't like anything really matching. I thought these are super fun. I also love how the edging of these are multicolored, and they're just very special pieces. So they're something that I definitely don't use every day, but they come out for special occasions. This piece I love because I felt like I needed a fun pop in the living room to kind of break up the more traditional antique English vibe. I found this piece at Artifacts in Kent, Connecticut. It was originally a barrel back chair that was in this really bright purple velvet. And because I have so much velvet already here and it's not the most durable, I wanted to do something different. So I love this cheetah print. I think it's really fun. I also personally find cheetah to be kind of a neutral because in my opinion, it goes with everything. Especially as a maximalist who loves to layer pattern and color. It's always a welcome change. Now we will go to the mantle. So the mantle kind of acts as the divider between the living room and the dining room. I, of course, was instantly drawn to this beautiful, marble molding. You don't see this at all anymore in New York. No one could even replicate it if they tried. It's, like incomparable. So that was very, very special. This is all original. Even the mirror here that you can see is cracked, but I kind of like that it gives it some character. And I wanted to keep this somewhat clean because I wanted to kind of draw attention to the double height ceiling and not take away from the mirrored aspect. So I just added a lot of kind of like candelabras, and I loved these. Aubergine is my favorite color. So another multi-purpose piece. These can go on the dining table for entertaining. They also, even without candles, I think they're so beautiful. And this horse piece kind of ties in with the industrial and antique fusion, which you can see in the dining table, where it has that aluminum tabletop and then the walnut base. So I was drawn to this because knowing that I entertain a lot and knowing that a lot of wine is drank and we have a lot of really fun dinner parties, I didn't want something super precious. And that's why I loved this zinc tabletop. I also thought it kind of lended itself to that Brooklyn industrial vibe, which is a nice contrast and juxtaposition to an otherwise more antique pre-war apartment. But then you can see it has really amazing turned walnut legs. So it has kind of like a contemporary and old world mix. This is a wedding gift. The woman that gave this to me is she's like a design mentor and has become a very good friend. And we both love the color orange, and she loves her heron china. So I thought it's a perfect place to display. Not that I'm having many tea parties, but it's the thought that counts. So this art piece I've had in all of my apartments. It's by Lorenzo Manoli. He's an Italian photographer, contemporary photographer. And most people don't realize this is a photograph, but it's actually a surrealist up-close image of a wave. And I really loved how it tied in with these teal leather seats on an otherwise very antique-looking chair. It kind of, again, like with the dining table top and base, antique, contemporary, and I like how this brought the colors together. The set of 12 antique Egyptian architectural prints. I liked that the scale of these drew your eye upwards to the double height ceilings, which otherwise can get lost, which is why I also did the same with that vertical line of prints between the windows in the living room. I took a hint, and also it's a nod kind of to Robert Keim, because his aesthetic is very much the vertical hanging prints on the metal rods. And I've always loved that look. So I felt like the vertical line between the windows mixed with the vertical line across from the dining table really went well together. Now, welcome to the kitchen, the second most used space in this apartment. I cook a lot. I cook mostly every single night, as does my husband. His father is a chef from Paris, and so we're always cooking, entertaining, and he's kind of inspired us to do so. I was really drawn to the Moroccan mosaic tiles, which the owner installed. That was another inspiration behind the mustard sofa, because it kind of like, again, you go from the kitchen, the dining room to the living room, and it all kind of intertwines and tells a story. So again, another nod to the English aesthetic, where it's more so a fusion of, like a family room space with a kitchen. I wanted to instill that here, where I had the skirted console, very British, but also sure way for added storage. As you can see, I put a ton of stuff down here, a little bit of a hoarder. I have my microwave. I have additional jars and vases that I'm not using. I have my wine refrigerator right here. And I basically did this by building a wooden base, super easy, from Home Depot. And then I just had my upholsterer create this Velcro, so it's an easy, on either side, 2-panel opening if you need more access. I fabricated a glass top, so it's easy to clean. You don't have to worry about the top of the fabric getting damaged. And this definitely lends itself more to a sitting room vibe than just a kitchen. Added this chair also to kind of tie in that vibe and that aesthetic. And I just found this pillow really fun. I'm a dog lover, as you can see. I have all my dog stuff here. The dogs are downstairs, otherwise their barking will ruin the video. These pieces are tall flowers from Get the Gusto in Florida. I love all of their pieces. The person that runs the store has such an amazing eye, and it's a large-scale space, from antiques, large-scale furniture to more decorative accents, which you can see here. And I really liked how this tied into the topiaries. Instead of having a sole topiary here, which felt kind of bare, I kind of like to do something a little bit more whimsical and fun. So now I'm gonna take you downstairs, where you can meet my lovely, loud dogs. So we're now on the lower level of the entryway, and you can see there's these double doors that has a weird covering behind it, which will make a lot more sense in a minute. Welcome to my bedroom. This is a space that I really wanted to create a mood board, more so for just relaxing and calming space. It's a contrast to upstairs, where obviously there's a lot of bright colors and jewel tones, and I really wanted this to kind of be like a refuge where you come home at the end of a long day and can really relax. And you also have a lot of great light here for half of the day. So I wanted that to correlate with softer toned walls. So I painted the walls in this more of a stark white, but it has these kind of lilac undertones. So this is Mia. She is 11 years old, but she has the energy of a puppy. She keeps me busy. So basically, when the previous owners lived here and I saw the space for the first time, the bed was actually on this wall, which now houses the lovely Peloton. Not exactly design worthy or pleasing, but it's the reality of a COVID world. And when I saw the space and I saw the bed was here, I felt like it really cut off the room. And I also didn't like how you could look out and see these two windows, because there's a lot of people that use this lower door for dropping off mail or packages or people coming and going. So I really wanted the bed to face the fireplace, which is non-working, but again, it's really beautiful, just like the upstairs fireplace. The issue was there are double French doors here and they're glass panes. So I found these 2 silk panels from this French dealer. He has a really amazing store in Paris and he ships internationally, and I found another Instagram find. I loved how these, again, are super multi-purpose, where I could see these in a living room or a dining room one day because they're more so floor to ceiling, but they're also the exact same proportion and width needed to cover the doors. And they kind of look like an art piece mixed with an oversized headboard, which I really liked. So the bed is also another space where I could really showcase a lot of different patterns and fabrics. Because this bed, I got it in a hurry. It was COVID, the start of COVID, December 2020. As everyone knows, the delays were horrible. So I really need to get a bed in quickly. So I found this bed, which I honestly wouldn't have been my first choice, but I wanted something that was just low enough where you could showcase the panels behind. And then down the line, I'll definitely recover this in my next home, but for now it works. So because this is a neutral space, I wanted to use the rest of the bed to mix and match colors and patterns and pillows. So I found all of these pieces at Antique and Artisan in Stamford. They have this antique warehouse, but also a great selection of textiles and bedding. These I also love because A, if you're getting ready in a rush, quilts are always an amazing way to just cover up bedding that has not been ironed or looks wrinkled. And I love that these are dual. So you can flip them over for a different effect. These pieces I love. I think they're so fun. I got them at Krill and Gow. And they always have the most... Shh. I think it's nuts. Guys! So I was just interrupted by the watchdogs, all 7 pounds of them. But back to the mushrooms. I got these at Krill and Gow, one of my favorite stores. They always have such cool pieces from Morocco, Turkey, India. The 2 people that own the store, they're based also in Paris, so they do amazing things abroad and also locally, and everything is one of a kind, which is very much in tune with how I like to work, where I like to source from, one-of-a-kind vendors instead of mass-made companies. And I like to support small businesses. This piece is, one of my family friends did this piece. She's an artist. And I've had this for almost 10 years now. But again, it kind of goes in any room. And I love that it's very contemporary, but it has a very cool texture to it. It's like this spiral shape that is layered with different kinds of acrylic paint. And I thought that the silver frame also went well with that kind of gunmetal gray mushroom base. So this is the sitting room area of the bedroom. I definitely wanted to have 2 chairs, and this is Mochi, by the way. This is his teepee that he sleeps in most nights. I wanted to have 2 chairs that acted as a place where you could get dressed, put your feet up, and kind of like throw clothes also when you're in a rush, which is definitely the case for most people on the go in New York. I recovered them. I found this Indian textile fabric, which I really thought was nice, and it worked well with the silkscreen panels and kind of all of the colors going on in the bed. And then I decided to self-welt it with this fun coral cord fabric, which ties into the carpet, which I found on Etsy. It's an antique dealer in India, actually, and he sources and finds these amazing carpets, and they're a fraction of the price of any carpet dealer in the US. So I really like this. I wanted something that was maximalist, but also understated, didn't overrun the rest of the piece in this room because there's a lot going on. And I also needed something that was oversized enough to carry this large space and also fit under the bed, but also have more room on either side where you can actually appreciate the carpet. Home to me means, obviously because I'm a designer, you know, something that's beautifully furnished and decorated, but more so it's about the people and the energy, and nothing has to be perfect and curated in a way where you feel like you can't even enjoy your surroundings. So that's exactly what I wanted to strive for in my apartment, where you could really have friends over and entertain, and my husband and I can just put our feet up at the end of a long day and really relax in the space.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Latham Thomas, founder of Mama Glow, and welcome to my home in Brooklyn. As you can see, we are in the living room and entryway of my home. I love old buildings like this. This building is like 200 years old and has the shape of our classic townhouses and brownstones that you would find in New York. And it's got really high ceilings. We have the exposed brick wall, which I love. This is one of the favorite features that like really sold me, was having brick and then also fireplaces. They don't work, but it's like nice for decoration. And so what we've done is I took this beautiful tapestry that came from Uganda and then set it inside of this frame so that you could also still see the exposed brick. And I love found objects. I love plants. And so we always have plant life in and around the house. I got these amazing seagrass baskets from all over. Some are from West Africa, some are from Tibet. And to just really soften some of the brick and create some more texture to have against the wall, because it's not as typical to have paintings and things against brick. And also in softening the space, I thought through rattans. And so we have these vintage rattan chairs that are like sloped and really comfortable with some sheepskins, and this rug from Morocco that we had cut custom for this space. And one of the things we built the space around was this couch. I love this color. I'm so into rose gold. And so I wanted to find a really comfortable and round couch that could kind of be soft inside the space, because it's kind of narrow and really needs delicate furnishings. And so we found this and we built everything else around it. We got this waterfall coffee table, which for me was also a really beautiful feature to bring into the space. Also, plants, right? And so we have these beautiful Hoyas that are like reaching and towards each other. That's really typical of like any space that I'm in, to always have plant life. I'm a Taurus. We love to bring the outdoors indoors. I got these light fixtures from a place in upstate New York, and I wanted to create, like, again, roundness, softness inside the space, and not necessarily use crystal, but bring in these elements that felt also very grounding. And so I chose matching chandeliers that you'll see mirrored across the space. And then also here we have some sculpture and, you know, just like really bringing in like the art books. My son's father and grandfather are artists, but his grandfather was an art dealer. So we always were surrounded by a lot of artwork and books and things. And so we have these, like everywhere there's stacks of books. And so there's not a shortage of things to read in this house. But one of my favorite things, and there's a couple sculptures that I love, but this one is from 1890. And it's a West African Yoruba sculpture. And it's actually sculpted from one piece of wood, and it's a mother and a baby. And so it's a fetish sculpture, but I love this. It really signifies the work that I do in maternal health and is like a reminder of that. And I just love how beautiful this piece is and the patina that it has, because it's worn from obviously a couple hundred years. We also have this really beautiful, but also sort of like washed away screen print from Andy Warhol that was signed to my son's father. That's really beautiful. One of the things about it is that you can't see now, but it's floral. Back in the day, it would have been in color, and it got exposed to the light. And so all of that color that was normally on this image is no longer there, but we still really love it because of what it represents. And obviously, the graphite and the texture that's here also softening for the space as we think about the plant life that I have surrounding in the rest of the home. We do have fireplaces on every floor. This is obviously one that you see first thing when you come in. There's one also on the other side, but it's covered. This one is really beautiful. It doesn't function. And it's typical of these apartments from, back in the day where there were functioning fireplaces that were fueled by the cellar, where there would actually be coal delivered. And so outside, what you'll find out front is there's like a little ledge area that would send you down into the cellar area where coal would be fed into the house, and then that would be used to fuel the house. And so we still have that coal door that is available, but no, these don't function. It's kind of cool. There are some in New York that still do function, which is kind of nice, but I think it's probably best this way so the house doesn't stay smoky, but quite beautiful, really just for ornamentation, right? You can use mantles and fireplaces as a way to really like bring in decor and help tie a room together or build a room around a fireplace. And so that's kind of what we did here. So let's come this way. So here you'll find our sort of dining area. And so there's a separation with just this buffet and then an open space here. So it allows for us to expand the table. I really love this table. It's vintage whalebone. And so what you'll find is you can bring up this side and extend, but also you'll see the legs have this beautiful shape, and it's called a whalebone shape. And so if you look to see how beautiful this is, right? The craftsmanship of these tables, it was so hard for me to find this table. I didn't even know I was looking for this, but then when I found it, I knew this was my dining table. And so we love this table. Often we'll have cloth over the table, like for dining and things like that, but I really wanted to expose so you all could see just the craftsmanship of the wood and also this kind of style that's not common, right? But again, like mid-century modern is a little bit of a theme that we keep throughout the house in terms of some of the furnishing choices. Certainly like with the lamps and things, you'll see that too. Over here, we have some shelves that are floating. I wanted to keep in the natural feeling of the brick. And so we have these floating shelves here. Another few sculptures. This I really love, which comes from Tibet, and it's actually an ox drum. And so this is what it's like hollowed on the inside. And so this is a water ox, right? And made into a drum. This is also hundreds of years old. And so I'm so grateful to be able to have like these really beautiful pieces to help ground the home, and that I can just like look at and I'm reminded of just the beauty of art that like is in and around us. I love also this Bruce High Quality piece, which is an art collective. And so I have that here. And so here I have a little corner for like my ancestors, specifically my grandmother who passed. I have like one of her rosaries here. I have some honey for her. I have some Caribbean rum for her. This is just water that I typically place to like draw energy down in the home, and I mix with it Florida water or agua de Florida here. And then I have just a white candle lit for her. And typically I'll put things like cinnamon, candies. She loves See's candies, so I have to go like get her some See's candies and replace that here. But I'll keep crystals here. I'll keep cleansing plants like Palo Santo here. And then typically I'll just like change this and put different things down for her like weekly. So now is like the time that I would probably put down some flowers for her, fresh, and then also bring any candies and things into the space. And when we think about like, you know, ancestral veneration, for me, it's like having a space that's like dedicated, you know, for loved ones or people who have passed on is sort of how I navigate my home space always. I used to have little altars all over the house Now I just have a few, but this is like one of the focal points that we have in the living room. And it's also sort of anchored by this beautiful cowrie cowrie shell collar. And these are some of the seashells that come from West Africa that are made into this beautiful bib that's like a sculpture. So we have it here anchored on this bench. And then this bench is really amazing too. It comes from Tibet. And so I have this kind of like almost like as an anchoring space. And then I have this broom, which is a black broom that signifies a time also in during slavery when the enslaved were to get married, they would consecrate the marriage by stepping over a broom or jumping the broom that they called it. So they would jump over the broom. And so I use this broom almost like a little threshold to like, you know, cordon off this area. I don't actually use it to sweep anything up, but I thought it was such a beautiful broom to bring into the home for this purpose. So yeah, that's what this space is all about. And then I have other things that like found objects and crystals and things that I love from other parts of the world that kind of like also flank the space. Here we have, again, the seating for when we're dining. And to soften these seats, which here, as you can see, this like nice straw that they use to weave to make the seats. And then I just put the sheepskins, right, to make it more comfortable for people. And so that's how we sit at this table. And again, it extends. So we have sometimes 8 people sitting with us for dinner. This is where we would sit together. I love also this kind of credenza or bureau that I found actually in Greenpoint at this amazing store that no longer exists, unfortunately. But it was an amazing kind of like vintage, secondhand, and like furniture shop. And they would get things from like upstate and all over. And they had this, and I just love the finish of the doors. It's this woven rattan. And then just like the details here, it has like these leather pulleys to like open. So it's just like so beautiful. And so we use this really to store kind of like pantry items and stuff like that, because as you know, in New York, it's really hard to find, you know, cabinets and extra space and closets. And unfortunately, even as big as this house is, there's no closets. There's no closets. So we have to use bureaus and things like this to get creative, to create closet space for ourselves and storage. And so this is one way that we store. Also here, again, like bringing a print into the space. This print came from a collective that I love called Block Shop, which is out of San Francisco, out of California. And they make a lot of linens and really beautiful like robes, even blankets, also great rugs. And so they made this print and I just love it so much. And so I have it here. I have a couple other prints of theirs as well. And this is one of our fig trees that's been here. It's kind of taken a life of its own, going wherever it wants to go. But this is the best position for it. It's facing east and it gets really great light. And I used to have it in a different place in the home and it didn't love it. And then when I moved it here, it was like, this is where it wants to be. So it's here. Oftentimes it's like hanging on to us while we're eating. So I've actually anchored it so that it could really be secure here and like be in its home place. But as you can see, it's blocking this artwork that is on the wall, which is a Richard Hambleton piece that I love very much. A couple other things that I love, there is, you know, obviously integrating plants constantly, but there's this really cool Japanese place that makes these moss ball plants, and I just have them everywhere. And I bring these into like different rooms in the house because I feel like, you know, we can ground this space always with greenery, and it's something that makes me feel alive and also just helps me to bring the outdoors indoors, especially like when it's the winter. In New York, as you know, it gets really cold here and it's hard to kind of keep your I don't know, your mood up if you, and have a levity in your mood when a space is really dark. And so even when we're going through the darker months, I always have a lot of plant life to make it feel like we're someplace that's like warmer. Yeah, so one of the things that I just really love about, you know, having a home of this size in New York is that like it's really a prime space for entertainment. I grew up in a home where things were really, like my mom was really strict about how she kept the house. And so it wasn't as welcoming for me to have friends over. And when my son is here, my son's now 21, he's in college. When he has friends over, I love cooking for them. When my friends come and people come in from out of town, I love just like making space for them to feel at home. And I love a house that's well lived in, you know, that feels like it's a space for people to really inhabit. And especially when you're coming in from like a long day, it's been busy and you just been moving, you know, about and hustling, it's nice to come back and like ground yourself in a space that you feel like is welcoming. And so I love for my home to feel that way. I love for people to feel like they're welcome to come hang out here. And certainly it's fun for me to like cook and things like that and prepare meals for folks. So it's kind of something that I'm really into. And a home like this was sort of a dream for me to be able to, you know, make space for those types of experiences that are really just like about, you know, like building memories, creating memories with people that you love. And so this is like a really cool piece that I love that my father gave me by Elizabeth Catlett. She has a show coming up at the Brooklyn Museum, actually. So I love this. And then obviously coming into the kitchen, there's always some fruit for people. I love keeping fruits that are like seasonal, but also like things that remind me of being home. I'm from California. We have very forgiving soil. Everything grows in Cali. So I'm so used to having a lot of fruits and vegetables, especially like fresh fruit that's growing in the season. So we have peaches, we have nectarines, but then I also have tropical fruits always on deck so that we could have breakfast, but also if I want to make any cocktails, we can make some nice ones here too. And this is sitting atop a vintage bureau that I also really love that came from my son's grandfather. It was a beautiful piece that I love for storage. Again, I was talking about how it's really hard to find storage here. And in New York City, creating ways by going to like some of the vintage like flea markets and things like that, you can find really great little accent pieces that can just bring your home to life by just having a little bit of patience as you move in and settle. It took me a couple of years to actually get the house to a space where I felt like we were settled. And that's because every house requires something different. Like even if you're bringing furniture from another place, it doesn't mean that it fits in the home that you're in, right? Or that the things that you have already will work. And so sometimes it's about finding the right place for things and figuring out the home for every little item or every little piece of furniture or, you know, whatever it is that brings accent to your space. And so, so I love things like this to bring some life into the home, but also again, in New York City, storage is so key. So coming into the kitchen, one of the things about the kitchen that I will say is when we got here, when I saw this house, I'm so into cooking. The very first thing I noticed was that this doorway was about this big. So imagine the doorway was here and just this sliver. And then it went all the way up to the ceiling. There was like a little bit of a break. What I did was opened it all the way up with this archway and then created some width here so that you could feel connected to the dining room space, but also not feel so isolated and also boxed in. So it opened the space all the way up, and then you can come on in and you have a typical galley kitchen that you would find in a townhouse like in New York. And so this kitchen is small, but it actually has a lot of functionality. I decided to build upward with the shelving to create some storage because again, we didn't have very good storage options in this kitchen. We have a step stool. So I typically open that up if I have to go up high to reach anything. For the refrigerator, this is our fridge and our freezer. And so it's kind of like you know, this is how it's set up. But one of the things that I did right away was when we were color blocking, figuring out the colors for everything, then also I got these really cool handles off of Etsy that are just like wooden, because the tops, you know, in the kitchen are also just like a solid wood. This is pine, right? So I just got like the same thing across. And then I also found these really cool leather handles on Etsy. And so we installed those too onto the cabinetry. Here's our dishwasher. And so just, you know, bringing the colors in, we have this amazing, like really large sink, which is great for dishes if I ever wash them, but I use the dishwasher. So, but this is great for me when I get like the fruits and vegetables, when I'm cleaning them. This gives me a lot of space to be able to do that. And also some of the plants, I just sink in here, I dunk them and then let them sort of bathe, you know, weekly when I don't want to just go around and pour water into the plants. I'll just throw them in the sink and give them a bath here. And so another thing for me that was important, like reaching some of our glassware very easily, but then also being able to reach like herbs and things with ease. And then this little cabinet was inspired by those microwave cabinets that they have in apartments. I lived in a little apartment before and they had a microwave thing that would be right here. And I had it removed so that I could create space. And I just put all like my little like, you know, favorite stuff. Like this is like my favorite olive oil from Morocco. And so all the things that I love, you know, that I reach for pretty frequently, I have here. So when we built this cabinetry, we created that same space, that same little microwave hutch, if that makes sense. So we have this little cool tucked away hood, right? So that, you know, again, everything's like really streamlined and seamless and stuff in the space, and to kind of still create this feeling of kind of like, I wanted it to feel like the Caribbean. I wanted to feel like California. I wanted to feel kind of like a vibe, you know, when you came in here, that you feel just excited to be in the space, excited to cook or eat, and just make it fun. You know, to me, I feel like, you know, you should go wild with color, right? You should express yourself with color. I know a lot of people are afraid to like use anything beyond like eggshell. You know, the colors I feel like also imbue an energy in your space, but also can help evoke an energy, right? And so when you come in here, you're like, oh, I feel awakened, or I feel excited, or I feel alive. And so that's what I wanted people to feel, but I also want to walk in the kitchen and feel that myself. So now let's check out our little powder room. So this is one of my favorite little rooms because it's like a slice of paradise, little California, little Florida in one room. But yeah, we just wallpapered this. It's a nice textured wallpaper that we brought into the space. And I love this amazing lamp, which is really like a giant light bulb. And then again, creating still that theme of softness with this mirror that we have in here. So it's very playful of a space, you know, and also because of the orange and the yellows, it's kind of like a soft color when people come in here. Again, I'm hoping that they feel good when they're in this space. And it's also like a little bit of a surprise when they come to use the restroom. So now we'll take our little trip upstairs. Watch your step as you follow me. One of the things about the steps I wanted to also point out is, like, if you have stairs in your home, one thing to think about is how you can personalize them. Even if you're renting and you don't want to invest a lot, but you want to make sure that you can bring some personality into your space. If there are stairs, what I found is on the instep, if you could see here, I got wallpaper, terrazzo wallpaper, and we cut for each of the step inlays so you could see all the way down. There's this beautiful like pattern and color and texture that comes through that also brings some personality. And you could, you know, do it for each staircase or just one. I thought for here, it's such a nice, like beautiful way to kind of like find your way going up the stairs into the rest of the home. So this is one of my favorite areas of the home, again, because who doesn't love a great bath? So here is our guest bathroom. It's really my son's bathroom, but any guest that's staying in the house also uses this bathroom. And what I did here was a couple of things. So again, the stripes are a theme, the textures are a theme that you'll see in the house, but this kind of like palm that we got for the backdrop here also continues on this side of the bathroom as well. And so you have the clawfoot tub, which is kind of like a common, you know, old New York bathtub. And so one of my favorite things about this room is, yeah, you just feel like you're in a little bit of a jungle, you know? And it gets a lot of light, so it's really great for a lot of the plants. And again, I put the plants here in the tub. So then, yeah, we can just like, you know what I mean? Bathe some of these plants. Like I sometimes do that too. I sometimes bathe some of the plants in here. But it's a really great bathtub. It's a nice experience, like after a long day, to be able to just like sit in the tub and hang out. And so I love this bathroom. I think for me, again, like the color, just always thinking through like the blocking of color, and then also the types of way I can integrate color and pattern together to create just like a really interesting but also unexpected experience for people. Allows them to kind of like enter a space and be like, oh, what world am I in, you know? And so I love to create that feeling for people and also for myself every time I come into the space. And one cool thing is like these little shelves that are like kind of built in here so you can store things, right? So that's another thing that's really kind of a cool feature, that this was already here. We just built around it and painted and all that. So to have like a recessed area for storage, and obviously some plants live there too. Now we're heading upstairs to my room. So welcome to my room. Up here, obviously I sleep, I hang out, I have some things that I love here. This credenza has been with me for a couple of years. It used to be in the living room. I was so excited when I could bring it into my bedroom because we had another credenza downstairs. And so I love the colors, I love the feeling of it. I love the lacquer, and I love that it's pink or salmon. Those are like, again, my favorite colors are kind of like, you know, pink, salmons, umbers. That's really sort of my jam. And it's like kind of across our brand at Mama Glow too. So these colors are also infused in my room. I have a canopy bed here. And again, bringing color, you know, always into like the bedding, which is important to me. I have a little chandelier because I've always wanted to have a chandelier over my bed. And then I have like a nice seating area, which is, you know, for when I have guests up here. I don't typically have a lot of people come into my room to hang out, but if they do, this is where we hang. And I love these chairs that we got. These are Moroccan. These are patterns actually that are found on rugs. And so we got these made as chairs. I really love the sort of shape of these chairs too, and as well as the rug. I love this table, which is glass over a tree stump as well. So this kind of anchors the space here. And I have a swinging chair, which is something I always wanted to have when I was a kid, a swing in my bedroom. And so I do have that now, and full of bunnies. What really inspired this, I think, was to feel like I was in a little bit like a fairy tale. Like the bedroom for me is kind of like where you dream and where dreams happen. And so I always wanted a place that felt cozy, you know. I moved a lot around as a child, and so I was always really, I think, craving spaces that I felt anchored in. And so this is one of those where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have like, you know, this, once we moved here, before I even got everything furnished, I had this chair. I had this swinging chair anchored here before even the rest of the room was done. And so I would come here and sit and like read my books and stuff in the corner. And yeah, I just love this. And so I think it was really just about like creating, warmth, creating coziness, and yeah, like some place that I could feel grounded and also inspired at the same time. So creatively as well. I think that's a big thing for me too, to feel like I could be creative in the space. And so my room is one of those pathways as well, I think. Yeah. And this, you guys, I love, is like my Frida Kahlo pillow. How cute is this? Like, I just love this pillow. I got it at a place that no longer exists. And that's why it's really important when you find things that you like the first time, get them. Because you go back and you can't find it anymore. When you're in New York and you're shopping, whether it's a flea market or a secondhand store or wherever it is, if you find something unique that like really speaks to you and you feel like it could really enhance your home, you should get it. And I don't mean it in a way of just like promoting consumerism, but in a way that's really about like, you know, surrounding yourself with things that you love. And you don't need a ton of things, but when you have special things that really sort of like tie a room together or make you feel special, it's important to get those things to like settle into your space so that you can feel delighted when you go inside of your room or whatever that space is that you're decorating. And so for me, I have found things in the past that I was like, oh, I'll come back and get this. And then I went back and the store didn't exist anymore, or they didn't have the thing, or someone bought it. And I always feel like that's kind of a miss, right? When there's something that maybe you really loved, you should always get it. So this is one of those things that I'm glad I got because the store doesn't exist anymore. And to me, it's really beautiful to find these quirky things that like don't really, that you can't really find anywhere. I really love this Buddha that we have, and you can see all this patina, like it's so worn, it's brass, but you can see how dark it is. Like if I were to get it cleaned, it would be very shiny. But I love this, and it's flanked with different seashells and cowrie shells and acai bead seeds. And this is something that I love too, that has always been in my home. I've always found a place for it. So that's in my room too. I always have like things from around the world. Like these are castanets from Spain, and they're vintage castanets that my son got me. I love, collecting like seashells. And so I have a bunch of shells. This is actually a coconut shell, and I collect currency from around the world. So that's here. Along with some other like things that are here. I also have, like coins and little shells and things, just like I always keep like elements of the earth around, right? And so those things are sort of inside the space, always integrated as well. But to me, it's like, I love rocks, I love crystals, I love plants, I love, really interesting kind of tactile things to bring into the home. And so I encourage people to bring the outdoors indoors, find elements of the outdoors that you can bring in to help imbue a space with life, if that makes sense. And so, that's something that I really always do, and also because I think that, a lot of things that we tend to think are waste, in some cases can be like really beautiful, like decorative, or even like the beginning of something decorative, right? It could be something that you use to create an artwork or an art piece, or it could just be anchoring itself. Like, seashells are like really great, like pieces to like anchor in the space, or just like bring in for color or texture, and some feeling of like, again, bringing the outdoors indoors, or bringing the sea inside. These stairs take us to the roof. Here, one of my favorite trees, it's called an autograph plant, and they grow in like the Everglades. And why it's called that is because you can actually write on these leaves and it'll leave the imprint. And so people like would take, people would like write their name, like etch their name on the leaves and stuff, and be like I go out with this person or that person on these leaves and stuff. And so sometimes when you're in Florida, for instance, you'll see this tree with a bunch of people's names engraved inside of the leaves. But yeah, I love this tree. It's been up here for forever. It's, as you can see, taking a lot of space up, and has a life of its own. Here is a little like roof space that for me has been a dream, to just like be able to come outside, be alone when I want to be. And then the rhododendrons that are behind us in the spring become bright pink. Those leaves have fallen now. Like typically like reading a book up here and doing my morning kind of like emails and things, I would come up here before it gets too warm. And at the end of the day, it's awesome to come and just like lay on this bed and hang out. And that's what I would do. Sometimes like we'll entertain up here, but it's like you have to come through my room to get here. So it's really like my private oasis. Like nobody else gets to come up here. My son will come up here often with friends and stuff sometimes and hang out and spend time too. I love the little rug here, which is from Ruggable. It's Justina Blankley. So it's got the, you know, kind of vibe that I like, the color and the textures, and is washable and reusable. So that's great for like New York City where it's just really hard to find a rug that lasts. Like I typically would use like jute and have to like change it for the following year. But this rug is like really wonderful. And then I've got like some really great like outdoor like teak and you know, some cushions and things to make it softer up here. I love these little cushions here, which are for outdoor or indoor. They're so easy. Like if they get wet, they dry, but they're really great cushions just to hang outside with and just kind of like, you know, keeping the space comfy really, you know, is what I'm all about. And just having a space to tuck away, you know, from the inside. And sometimes also too, like you're inside and you're, you know, getting away from the heat. But New York hasn't been super hot this summer. So it's been a nice place to hang out just, you know, because the days have been pretty mild. And so coming up here and when it's not too sunny, it's a really great place to hang out and even during the day. But certainly at night, like when things cool off, this is where I like to come to and retreat and just like have a little, you know, iced tea and relax and, you know, prepare to like wind down for the evening. It's so rare in New York City to find a little extra space for a guest, but I have a little guest nook. And it's a space I created for when folks come to visit so they can feel cozy and feel like they have a home away from home. And you would never guess, but it's right behind here. So we have these little curtains and then you come back into this little space. And what I love about it is the color first, right? Like always thinking about bold color. Don't be afraid. I brought this sort of soft turquoise, sort of sea foamy color into the room, which I found really anchoring. It goes well with the tufted bed, which is also a softer like sea foam. And then these colors that we brought in with the umbers and the yellows and golds, which I also love, are here. We brought in also this beautiful Moroccan rug, which kind of anchors the space. It's pink. It's like, you know, a really beautiful color and texture. I actually have a lot of linens that are this color. And so that's why this rug sort of came to be. And then we have these like fun little side tables and then some artwork that's anchoring the area to kind of create some warmth against the wall. Because this is brick, but it's colored and it's a solid color, it makes like for a good background for artwork to be hung here. Yeah, and so then we have like, you know, another placement over here. This is like a poster from a show that I went to at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. And I loved the show so much that I framed the poster. But yeah, this is the space. And it's just really like when you go to a hotel and they have like a room that's so small, it's just got enough space for your bed and then your things are elsewhere. This feels like that to me. It's like tucked away, it's quaint, but it's also very comfortable. And so I'm grateful to be able to kind of create a space like this for people that visit, but also just, you know, I think that in any room that you have, regardless of like how your space is set up, thinking through how to just make it like cozy as possible is for me a number one priority, but I think it's something that we can think about when we're designing, regardless of how big or small our spaces are.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.